What if I told you that there are actually popular Catholic apologists who are keeping people from ever wanting to convert to the Catholic Church and then instead end up Orthodox, maybe remain Protestant, or even become atheists? This is a conversion story that nearly didn't happen. So, meet John, a native of Scotland who found Christianity by watching Ray Comfort videos. John eventually accepted Christ into his heart and started the spiritual journey that led him to Catholicism, at least a nefarious version of it. And if it weren't for faithful Catholic apologists, John would have never become a baptized and confirmed Catholic that he is today. The darkness of certain popular Catholic apologists and the damage that they do to inquiring individuals will very much get exposed in this story. So please like and subscribe and consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/Catholic Christian. And also, don't forget to say a prayer for our new Catholic brother, John. Thank you. So, how have you been?
Yeah. Um, doing well. Doing well. Good now that I'm baptized and stuff, so I can go and enjoy enjoy mass more, participate more, be a part of it. I like
Yeah. Okay. So you're in Scotland, and what is the Catholic presence like over there? Is it basically just the Roman Rite? Do you have some Eastern presence? How does it look over there?
Yeah. So I don't think there's anything in Glasgow, although I could be wrong. I've not actually looked at like if there's any like Ukrainian Eastern rites here. I don't know. But I know there's one in Edinburgh. But I think they do it in Ukrainian. So like I wouldn't be going there because I'm not gonna. It's not because I did want to try and see if it was because I wanted to see the Divine Liturgy, right? But
Mhm.
I don't think it's I don't think it's in English. But I know there is one definitely in Edinburgh, which is like a Catholic Ukrainian right one.
Yeah. I mean, your native language is English because of the UK, right?
Because of Scotland. Scotland
Oh,
is
you're not a part of the UK, are you?
no. We're a part of the UK, but because Scotland's English, so uh,
Oh, okay. Okay.
not
All right.
because not necessarily because of the UK, but
Sure.
we
Got
are
it.
English
Gotcha.
speaking. Although there is Gaelic or Gaelic as the sort of tribal language, so to speak. But none of us know it. I think like 1% of Scottish people speak it.
But
Um, it's kind of like Welsh, see like Wales, but they speak it a lot more than
yeah.
we do. And there's other languages, and like down at the bottom of England, there's like a language. There's a language on the Isle of Man, which is in England,
Okay.
um, which is its like own region. It's quite interesting because there's a lot of different stuff here, I
Sure.
suppose, because we're kind of indigenous to this area. I mean, I took a DNA test and I'm 99% Scottish dash Irish.
Wow.
So,
99%?
yeah, so
What's the
basically
other 1%?
in Norwegian.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
Wonder how
yeah,
that
I definitely can say I'm not more than 1% Viking. So I think that makes sense.
that 1% Norwegian snuck in there, man. That's funny.
Yeah.
So, do you wanna just kinda start from the beginning? Maybe start in your childhood with your family and what they
Give me 2 seconds.
believe. Oh, okay.
Just gonna shut the door. Hopefully I don't get interrupted here.
Oh, that's dude, it's all good. We can edit out anything. So, don't relax and have fun and crack a beer.
If I had one, I probably would as well, but I don't.
Yeah, yeah. So maybe we should start at the very beginning. What do you think? Like with your childhood and your parents and how you were raised, if you had a faith presence there, what you were brought up as?
Sure. So yeah, so basically when I was growing up, there was nothing, right? There was no sort of faith basis in terms of being raised in any sort of religion of any sort, right? Religion was never talked about, it was never really discussed at all. So it was more just yeah, well, nothingness really. It's just sort of like act like a good person sort of thing without any sort of basis of it, right? It's just a sort of be good sort of thing, right? There was no actual basis for any of the sort of reasons why we do things. So yeah, I just sort of went around life with no real purpose, I think is probably the best way to describe it. But yeah,
Yeah. So you and I think you have a sibling or two, correct?
I've One sibling, yeah, sister,
One
wee sister, yeah.
Okay, one
Um,
sister, and so you guys weren't baptized growing up?
no, no.
Okay, okay. Would you say your parents were atheists or agnostic, or did they just not talk about it?
Good question. My dad seems to be pretty atheistic, right? He doesn't really believe. He thinks it's sort of nonsense, right? And this idea, I think he's very sort of naturalist in his thinking, right? He's very sort of what he can see here. That's about it, sort of thing. My mother, she's probably around the same sort of, um, I would say, although I'm not 100% sure. She just didn't really. Yeah, I think they both think it's generally nonsense based on the conversations that I've had.
Sure. So
So
what'd you guys do on Sundays growing up?
nothing, just a normal day. Well, it was a day off, really, wasn't it? It was just a sort of do what you want.
Yeah. Did you have any yearning or desire for, just looking into maybe whatever religions or transcendental or Eastern philosophy or anything like that?
Absolutely not. No, nothing. Zero. Zero interest, zero motivation. Um, yeah, no, there was absolutely nothing. I didn't have any sort of. I just it was really just motivation to try and get a job. That was about the only motivation I had. There was no. It's just to get money, basically. That was
Yeah.
my motivation. There was nothing. I had no instinct, or I didn't even think about it. I don't think, as far as I remember. I don't think it was one point where I ever actually thought about it, like genuinely. So
Interesting. Were you ever exposed to any kind of faith or religion from other people, classmates, extended family, anything?
absolutely not. No, nothing.
So you,
Um,
oh, I'm sorry. So would you say like your aunts, uncles, and cousins were mostly from the same background, atheism or?
well, no. They're Catholic in my mum's side, in terms of ritualisticness, but no one's ever explained to me why. Right? It was just sort of by name, by association, but no one's explained to me. I did go to a confirmation or first communion once, I think, when I was a child, when I was younger, but we only went to the party bit after it. I didn't know what was actually happening. Now I realise what that was and how big it was, but obviously we don't really consider it to be big. And then no one really there in the confirmation was like, it just didn't feel like anybody actually believed in what they were doing. When I look back on it now, you know.
By the way they
Yeah.
acted.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
By what they were giving off, sort of thing. Yeah.
now these were Catholic Christians or just Christians in general?
Just Catholics. Yeah, Catholics. As
Oh
far as I'm
no.
aware. Yeah. Yeah.
Bummer.
I've not really had a good example from really anybody. Maybe that's unfair because I don't really know them too well. That way. It's kind of like distant family almost. So I don't speak to them every day or whatever. And they
Yeah.
didn't exactly turn me off like acting a bad way or anything. It wasn't like that, but it was just
So no
like,
scandal, just
j- there would be in relationships that would be, against church, the teachings of the church. But didn't know that at the time, so that didn't scandalize me at the time because it was like, well, that's it. Everybody's doing that, so there
yeah.
was nothing distinct about them. Is probably what I would say.
Yeah. Would you say, I mean, looking back, because we'll
Mm.
get into your conversion, you were
But
just
this was when I
baptized.
was very young as well, so like I don't know 100% by the way on that.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I'm just getting bits and pieces from this was like probably 15 years ago. So I was young, you know.
Okay. Okay. Um, so, I mean, we could actually talk about where was the first grace you received or the prompting or where did it all start? That is your spiritual journey that ultimately ended in you getting baptized and confirmed. Do you have a specific memory or a moment in the past where you can pinpoint it, like what started this all?
Yeah, it was a Ray Comfort video, Living Waters. Um, that was my first exposure to the gospel.
Wait,
Just
say that one more time.
Ray Waters, living or Ray Comfort,
Ray
living,
Comfort, yes.
living waters. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was a YouTube video, and it was just going through the Ten Commandments, and that really stuck my conscience and made me realize what he was really good at is giving sort of the objective arguments for objective morality, right? That exists. He was really good
Yeah.
at doing that and putting that into perspective and realizing, oh, well, I've done all those things, and they're all bad, and I know they're bad, but yeah, I've done them. And so it was kind of coming to terms with that and realizing, wow, this may actually be true. So for a couple of months, I was just kind of scared ultimately because I was realizing that it was the truth, and I had to do something about it.
Mhm.
So eventually, I contacted a local Protestant pastor from the local Baptist church. He was awesome, awesome, awesome guy. Because he was like, he was really, yeah, it was just an awesome experience that to come into the Protestant church. Like he made it really easy. He answered loads of questions, and he was, yeah, it was an awesome, awesome time in terms of coming into that church. So I get baptized as Baptist in the Baptist church.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, baptized,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. No, okay.
Yeah. So it didn't. It was an invalid baptism.
Yeah.
Um. So they said the words "We baptize you" because it was two people who took me in at the same time. So they said "We baptize you" in the name of the Father, and they had it on video. It's still on YouTube right now of my whole baptism process. Um. And so that's basically it was in April of 2020. This was so. This
Okay.
was just 1 month before the lockdowns, right? Before we couldn't go anywhere, before there was no church. So
Before I hate to interrupt you, I'm so sorry, but before you move on, can I
mhm.
just ask why you called a Baptist church instead of, a Catholic or another Protestant communion? I know you said Ray Comfort, but why
Yes,
why that
yeah, that's
Protestant
a good
church?
question. Yeah, that's a good question because I did have an anti-Catholic thing about me slightly because of the cultural and sort of um, I suppose the sort of local way of doing things, in the sense of it wasn't heavily ingrained, but it was just like this. I'd rather not go there, sort of thing. You know,
Okay.
Y- it was never an option in my mind initially, mainly because of Ray Comfort, because he was like, he was the one preaching the Protestant,
Okay.
gospel, so to speak. So I didn't really think about it too much at that point, but it wouldn't have been an option at that point because it was easier for Protestant, like for my family and all that, for everybody. It was just an easier process, right?
Yes.
So even if it was a question, which it wasn't, but it became a question later on. But um, initially, I just went, I want to get baptized, and he was like, yeah, we'll take you through baptism. And basically, within a couple of weeks, I was baptized.
That's it? 2 weeks?
It was a pretty fast process. It was just a couple, yeah. It wasn't more than a few weeks of when I first contacted him, and then I got baptized. I think it was like 4 weeks or maybe less, within 4 weeks, put it that way. Um, so yeah, it was it was interesting. And so that's the sort of start point of where I went. And then, like I said, there was the lockdown that then happened next.
Yeah. So let's just talk a little bit about Ray Comfort because we all know who Ray Comfort is. So was this just like you're scrolling through your YouTube feed and you come across a Ray Comfort video? Was it one of those videos where he's out in public
Yep,
and he's challenging people?
yep.
Was it? Do you remember the specific content of that video? What you said it was on the Ten Commandments?
Yeah, so that's what he does on every one of them. Basically, he goes through the Ten Commandments with everyone, and just asks them if they've done these things, and if they've done these things, then
Ah, yes, yes.
uh, because you need a savior who broken one commandment, you've broken them all, and so therefore, you know, and yeah, it really convicted me and really made me realize. And also, he was really good at it. Obviously, there's problems there now that I look back on it, but there is a genuine something to that because he is preaching part of the gospel. I
Of
mean, it is.
course.
So definitely,
Yeah.
and that definitely. So Ray Comfort made me Catholic is basically the
That's the
is
title
the
of this
conclusion.
video, man. That's everyone's gonna click on that. Yeah, I mean, Ray Comfort, like you said, he does preach part of the gospel, just like many of our Protestant brothers and sisters, even though we would say they don't have the fullness of the truth, they at least have the elements of truth and sanctification. And so, I mean, we got to give him a little bit of credit for that, and likewise with our other Protestants. But what I've noticed about Ray Comfort, and I'm not here to judge or criticize Ray Comfort, but what he'll do is he'll kind of get into people's consciences and kind of guilt trip you into thinking like, oh my gosh, you're a lying, murdering adulterer, like, stealing,
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? And so like, oh yes, I am.
yeah. There
Uh,
was this good point. There was no distinction of sin, right? It was just if you did, no matter what thing you did, it was like the biggest thing, right?
Yeah.
There was no distinction or level of sin. But however, the good thing about it is that there is some sins that you know that you did that were wrong, that you knew you did before they were, and you knew it was wrong before you did it, but you did it anyway. And
Right.
just that's what really convicted me, particularly. So it did. I think it was a good thing in the end because it obviously it brung me it brung me here eventually.
Yeah. I
Um,
I would again, I was just kind of being cheeky. I wasn't meaning like Ray
no,
Comfort
no, no.
going around guilt tripping everybody, but
But I
yeah, I
do know
mean,
what you mean. I see what you
yeah,
mean.
it,
Yeah.
it brought you, to where you're at now, which we'll get to. But yeah, so we thank you, Ray Comfort. I should try to get him on the channel. But yeah,
Yeah,
so
actually, my pastor, funnily enough, reached out to Ray Comfort, and he got back to me. He sort of wrote a personal note to me or something, saying,
really,
"Oh, congratulations," because I told him that it was because of his videos that I converted. So that's quite interesting.
wait. Ray Comfort knows that it was because of his video that you converted to Christianity.
Yeah.
Did you mention Catholicism?
No, no, no. That was back when I converted
Oh, I'm
in
sorry. I'm sorry.
2020.
This is way okay.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
now you should give Ray Comfort a little bit of an update where you're at.
Uh, True. Yeah,
See
true.
what see how he responds to that.
I don't know. I don't know if he'll be as happy. Let's see.
Yeah, but nonetheless, hey, Ray Comfort brought yeah, he brought you to Christianity. So for that, we thank God. I mean,
Hmm. Yeah,
so
100%.
so now you got quote unquote baptized, and are you going to church on Sundays at this Baptist communion, or what's going on now?
I think I went once because of COVID. Right, it was locked down
Ah,
basically the next couple of weeks. There was not very. I think I attended twice after my baptism or something like that. I don't really remember that period of time. But then, so yeah, so then now we're in COVID. Now I'm not going to church, and now it's like it just feels like also I'm still engaging in sins that I know are wrong at this
mm,
point, and I just feel basically nothing, or like if effectively I feel extremely guilty, but I don't and I don't feel like anything's working, so to speak, and I just don't feel like there's a point. So eventually I just fall away and go back to what I was doing before I became, because before I was baptized, I was smoking a lot of stuff and doing a lot of different things,
sure.
drinking, partying, things along those lines, right? And then so I just sort of went back to that behavior after because I subconsciously I felt like something was missing, but I didn't know what at this point, right? Because I felt like how do I continue? It was the not being able to account for my guilt that was the real problem. Because and then so what I would do is I'd watch loads of videos on like Protestant uh, pastors about you once saved always saved, and I was
Mhm.
trying to like help my conscience to try and feel some sort of relief at the fact that I've got all these sins and I don't know what to do about it because I'm confessing them to God, sure, but it just doesn't feel like I'm forgiven. That was one of the main problems. Put me in a really dark place because now I was aware of the sin and there's nothing I can do. So my soul was sort of yearning for something more at that point.
Hmm. Mhm.
And
Would you, sorry to interrupt, would you say you still had faith and then went back to that life
yes,
of
yes, oh yeah, yeah. I would tell everybody about Jesus when I was
okay,
in that sort of period, and I would like go through. I would go through I would preach when I was doing these things that were clearly against
sure.
the the gospel, but I would be like telling them all about it. Every one of my friends, I would, and obviously it was when I converted, it was a little bit awkward, so to speak, because one day like literally one day, nothing about Jesus. The next day, now I'm talking about Jesus, and my mum and dad are like, "What is going on here? This is mental." And I was a very, very overzealous, like zealous to the max. So that also contributed to the sort of problematic nature of it, let's say. So they thought I was going mental at one point.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's a common reaction, to be honest.
yeah, um, and maybe I was a little bit heavy-handed, let's say, um, at that point. So yes, and then like I say, my pals, they were my friends at that time. where certainly, they weren't they didn't really care much, but they sort of agreed with me, like in the basic premises, which I thought was kind of interesting, but nothing really came of it, so to speak.
S
Um,
so what exactly did they agree on with you?
well, the conscience part, right, the Ten Commandments part, right, the natural law part of what I was saying, they sort of
Yeah,
couldn't not agree with, you know. And a lot of them were already against like abortion and all these different stuff, that happens. So they had yeah, they could agree to the sort of the natural law, but it was Jesus Christ, right, rising from the dead that I think they had the most problem with, right, and
sure.
actually assenting to the faith of Christianity. But they agreed with a lot of what I was saying. But so yeah,
That's great.
I was continuing on there, but I was also being a hypocrite because I was saying all this stuff and I wasn't doing it. But I did make a point to tell them, yeah, I'm not doing it, but you should do it. I'm not like following the faith, but we should be.
Well, how did that
um,
make you feel as you're, talking about the faith, maybe preaching a little here and there, but your actions and your way of life didn't match? How did that make you feel?
yeah, terrible. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
terrible.
Like
So
hypocritical, kind of?
well, yeah, I mean, I would say hypocritical, in a sense, but I would always, because I would always cushion it when I was speaking, and I would always be like, well, but I know I'm not doing it, but I'm just saying this is the truth, right? When something would come up in a TV show, right? For example, like when we were watching TV, because we watched a lot of like TV programs and stuff about different things, and there would be this left wing narrative within these like really just horrific narratives. I would explain it through the faith and through a Christianity lens, through a Christian lens, right? So I would try and explain the principles and whatever, um, through that lens and through the lens of eternity and stuff and all this, and that's how I'd sort of explain it to them with it. So I didn't really feel much of a hypocrite because they knew I wasn't doing it, but they knew I did believe it. But it was just
Sure.
that. So it's kind of but yeah, it didn't make me feel good put it that way because that was a point of contention for my soul,
Yeah.
I think, during that point.
Would you say that your situation, you were kind of lacking graces? Or, you said you're obviously yearning and desiring for something, but, like, looking back, would you maybe state that, "Hey, I needed, like, more than just a grace here and there. Like, I need the Eucharist, I need confession, I need these sacraments.
Yes,
If I'm
yes,
gonna
yes.
actually
Yeah,
overcome this life of dissipation, like, these
yeah,
sins, these vices, like, they have me like a vice grip." Ha! Vices, vice grip. And, I the only way I'm gonna get free of these vices and these sins is through the radical liberation that comes through, the sacraments, right?
yeah. Through grace, yeah, certainly. And but I didn't want to at that point because at this point I hadn't discovered the sacraments. So I felt like there was no. Well, I'm just going to go back to the nothing again. I'm just going to go back to the way I was before, which was no sacraments, just sort of just be praying. But then I didn't really feel like I knew how to pray as well. I felt like I
Hmm.
didn't really know what to do or what to say, and was I being heard because I was in this state of rebellion.
Right.
Um, so all kind of just felt pointless to me for a while. In the end, so there was no real desire. Well, there was a desire for real faith. There was that desire for like a genuine faith. It's just where I found it that was the sticking point because I just didn't feel like it was offered there. So eventually, as we're going into sort of 2021, maybe halfway through 2021, I would say, or maybe at the start of 2021. I don't remember specifically, but it was a Trent Horn video with James White, and they were debating, once saved, always saved, eternal salvation thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my first kind of exposure to going, wait, this guy's Catholic, but he's an apologist. I never knew they existed before I'd seen that video. Um,
Wow.
oh, yeah.
Now, I think I could be wrong, but I think that debate, it took place in 2017, but you're saying you just saw it in 2021.
I think this was an old one. This didn't take place in 2017. This took place well before that. This was when Trent. It looked like it was taken in the 1980s, but I think it was probably the early 2000s. Um,
Oh, with Trent Horn?
yeah, we're talking like an OG debate here. Um,
Okay. I
it
think I
was
know
it was
yeah.
like one of the first debates that he done with James White. I'm sure it looked like it was filmed in the 1970s. Maybe it was just a camera, but it certainly looked that way.
I don't think
And
Trent Horn
he
existed in the
looked
'70s.
Trent Horn looked really young as well, like
Yeah,
really young.
okay. No, that's awesome.
So
I know what debate you're talking about, and I could be mistaken. Trent's done a lot of debates even before James White, but that was his first kind of real public formal debate against a formidable Protestant apologist, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah,
And
it may have just been the cameras then, if I'm just hallucinating. Yeah.
yeah, were you smoking then? Or I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But so why don't you talk about this debate experience, what you saw and what it did to you? I think I could guess, but let's listen to you.
Well, actually, initially, nothing. Initially, it didn't do anything to me mainly because I skipped the parts that Trent was sort of making sense at. Right. Well, what it was, it was the introduction to the world of I suppose Catholic apologetics, even if it was in a small way, I would say. So it was just realizing that there's someone here debating, someone who's Catholic that exists, and then I would listen to James White. I wouldn't really listen to Trent, sort of thing. I would sort of skip to James White's rebuttals, and I'd sort of gloss over it. So it didn't convince me of anything there. However, it did start to break down, chip away at that wall that I had against Catholicism because I just thought it was a fake religion. Right? I'd just basically been told, well, I believed all the things that you're told. They worship Mary. They have these books that they've added to the Bible, and just all the basic nonsense when it comes to the points. So
Mhm.
it was sort of an introduction, and then eventually down the road, I don't know specifically the point. Actually, I've kind of forgot where it was specifically that sort of convinced me that Catholicism was real, or was the true faith sort of thing. I can't remember the specific point. I know that was the initial sort of breaking of the block to really scare me. That really scared me. The fact that well, this guy's a professional and he's debating. He's a professional Catholic, and that seems like it can't exist. Like I knew Protestants do loads of apologetics, but I was completely foreign to the Catholic part. And then eventually I decided, okay, I'm just going to look into this Catholicism thing, and so I started looking up, started looking at the argument. In fact, no, I know what it was. It was a comment section on one of Gavin Ortland's videos. Okay. It was a comment section on one of Gavin Ortland's videos where I was commenting back and forth with this oh God bless her, this Catholic who was in the comments, and I was just rolling off the Protestant talking
Yeah.
points, and she stuck with me, and she kept replying and got drilled down to the points, uh, and that's and then I looked into what she was saying. She was telling me all these videos to go watch and all these things to go see. Yeah, I remember that actually. So that was where it convinced me, and then yeah, I'd really like to know her name because I should pray for her because that was excellent. Because that really convinced me. Eventually, she was saying all the different rebuttals to all the different points, and I was taking everything in. I was like, oh wow, that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Wow.
Um,
We should try to
and
look up that video. I'm sure it's still there on Gavin's channel, right?
I don't know what video it was. I don't even know what video it was. If I could
This was
search
around
my
2021, you said, or a little later?
yeah, it was around that time. Yeah, probably 2021, probably, but not 100%. I think was it something to do with Vatican II? I think it might have actually been something on Catholicism, actually.
Yeah. We'll
That's
find it
annoying.
later. That's great.
Interestingly, I also used to be very into Mike Winger, and I used to go to all his live streams and watch all of his live streams back then as well. And there was loads of Catholics that would come in and sort of nicely, they were nice, and they were trying to do it in a very nice way, um, to try and just explain Catholicism through because it was a Q&A thing that Mike Winger did and answer questions and stuff. And so there'll be loads of Catholics try to get their questions in to try and thing way. And I wasn't convinced by any of their arguments at that point because Mike was there to let me know how to think. So I didn't have that, sort of screen. You know what I mean? I couldn't think about it myself. But then, as I say, that person in the comment section who are really bad. Maybe I can look up comments on YouTube that I've made, because I really wanna do that, because then I realized that, okay, now I know Catholicism is true.
Mhm.
This is a problem, because there was a couple of my friends who were very anti-Catholic, just by nature of not knowing what the Catholic Church teaches, believing all these conspiracies about the Vatican and stuff, just having all these sort of just not good views of it. Right? Obviously, the priest scandals that happened, that majorly affects 90% of what people think when they don't
Mhm.
know about the church. Because of
Yeah.
course, if the priests can do that and they're meant to be the ones who are the best of the faith, then why would that be true? Sorry, my computer's just run out of charge. Okay.
Oh, no problem.
So
It's
yeah,
just go ahead, sorry.
yeah, no, go ahead.
Oh, it's just mind-boggling to me, ever since I started my channel and just seeing what goes on in the comments section amongst all different, uh, denominations and churches. A lot of the polemics, a lot of the, some of it's really ecumenical. It's just like
Yeah,
it's very eclectic in those comment sections. You really never know what you're gonna get. But it's just again, it's mind-boggling to think that the comment section, some Catholic in the comment section had something to do with planting seeds in your heart, right?
directly. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't even that.
Oh,
It was just an intellectual conversion, pretty much as I was having the conversation with her, because I was like, "Oh, that makes sense," and then I asked her about something else, and she was like, "Yeah, no problem," and she was extremely nice, and I think that also helped as well, because it was like she was just very seemed like, tried to make an effort in the comment to make sure she came across as being, you know, just not trying to convince me, but more just posing the questions and sort of, you know, giving me the opportunity to kind of think about it, which really connected with me. So yeah, and then like I say, I watched all the videos that she suggested, and that's how I got into the rabbit hole of Catholic apologetics.
yeah. What could you or do you remember some of those videos that you
Not
watched?
specifically, not specifically, but I know there were Trent Horns. I know there were Joe Heschmeyers. I know there was loads of different, you know, uh, I mean, the Catholic Answers, Pints with Aquinas, I think was one as well
Sure.
back then.
Catholic
Um,
Christian. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I didn't exist
I
back
don't,
then.
yeah, you didn't
I didn't
exist.
exist.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Um,
so are we at 2021 still or 2022 or where are we on this timeline?
yeah, so I think we're in the middle of 2021. I want to say. If I had to estimate, I just that time, unfortunately for me, is an absolute blur in my brain. So I don't know where we are at this point. But I know I sort of sat on it for about 4 years. That's what I know. I didn't do anything about it. And the main reason is because, well, I did realize the Catholic faith was true. I thought that I got sucked into the dark side of Catholic YouTube. You know, you know what I mean. So it went from ultra traditionalist arguments, realizing that the church, you know, sort of it was the SSPX kind of a one, but then it was then sedevacantism. So it was a good, I think, 6, 7, 8, 9 months where I was just in this place of just pure frozenness about what to do. I was still doing all the things I was doing before, but now I knew that Catholicism was true. I was still doing those things. Nothing had changed in my actual actions or behavior at this point. Um, so yeah, it was just like it was even worse almost, because it was like, uh, why would I join the church? Because I was watching. I don't want to say their names
We
necessarily.
we all know whom you're referring to, so it's okay.
Yeah, the big one. So yeah, so I'd be watching his videos and I would be thinking, well, why am I going to join this church? Because it's full of heresy. It's full of all this stuff, and it's so yeah, I was pushed away from joining the church. I was going to join it. I was actually lining up, you know, the courage to join it, and then a couple of those stories and scandals came out around that 21 time, right? Around the 2021 time, there's a couple of things that were happening in the church where it was, I think the Pope did something that was terrible, or well, according to this video, right? That was terrible, and so therefore that made me just decide not to go into the church and sort of just, so I stayed. in what I was doing. And then I went down a sedevacantist rabbit hole and believed in the sedevacantism argument. Believed that for some reason, I don't know why. I don't know why. It was kind of because I was insecure in my own self. That was
Mhm.
so I was easily manipulatable, I would say. And then there was the partial truth of the argument. I mean, there's some truth in the arguments that they
Of
have,
course.
some truth. So then that takes you, you know, and then you go, oh well, that's a valid and logical conclusion. And because I don't really know anything much about this at this point, or anything about like manuals or about Vatican One necessarily, or about all these different, you know, minutia details, right, and the sort of nuance of these positions. So I just went full, believed that yeah, the Pope was a heretic and all that, and there is no Pope. Oh, Father Altman as well. Um,
Father who I'm sorry,
Alt,
who was it?
Altman, heard of
Altman.
him?
I think I've heard of that name, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So he was a big guy who I followed, who I really liked, um, and yeah, he got yeah, I think he got defrocked or thingied out of his parish or something. I don't exactly know. I don't think he got,
Oh,
yes, did he?
Altman, Father Altman.
Altman, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, the language, your accent's
The
amazing.
language,
I'm like, Altman? No, Altman, yes, yes. He's
yes.
very well known, yeah. From the Diocese of La Crosse, I believe he was
Yeah,
laicized.
he was less Asian, right? Okay, so yeah, and then I thought that was a massive injustice when that happened. I was all into the news sites and the sort of traditionalist, you know, news sites, the extra traditionalist news sites, let's say. Um, and again, it was just all, doom and gloom. There was no love. I didn't feel any love at this point, or any sort of like, I don't know, true hope, really. So I was mostly despairing during this point of time, for a while, and then I went back to my old behavioural patterns. Didn't do anything about it for a while, but I was still occasionally was watching, Catholic content and things from level-headed people, and then eventually I came round when I was watching some specific. There was this video on Pizza with Aquinas with John Salza in it, which explained the ludicrousness of the sedevacantist position and the ludicrousness of the SSP. Well, I wouldn't say ludicrousness necessarily. I don't
Yeah,
want to go too far, but
yeah, yeah.
the canonical irregularities of the SSPX's status, and then making you realise that um, that yeah, all of what I was thinking was just wrong, and that Jesus Christ wouldn't leave his church in that sort of a state, and then realizing that no, there has to be a way to access the sacraments. There has to be a you know and then I realized that I should probably be within the church, and then I should probably be with under the authority of the bishop, of my local bishop and stuff. And from there, I'd realized it was true, and I'd realized that it was okay to join the church, but it was still a case of just not having the courage to do it. This was probably
Mhm.
for about 3 years, 4 years, going back and forth around this sort of idea, um, but never really doing it.
Wow. Wow, you said a lot there.
Yeah.
I'm trying to hold back a little bit because I have some similar experience, not quite like exactly like yours, but
Mm.
just coming into the church and being disillusioned by, the alt-right set of a contest ideologies that has infiltrated the church and how that prevents and deters people from joining the Catholic Church. So you're not the only one actually that I know of, and there are plenty of people that have been in your situation that have veered away from Catholicism because of these certain quote unquote Catholic apologists.
I mean, all you need to do is look at the comment section of these videos, right? I mean, you don't want to take the comments necessarily as gospel, but you see loads of them saying, "Why would I ever join a church that's this way? I'm never going to join the church. I'm leaving the church." It happens all the time. So it's yeah, it's crazy, to me, because I don't think it's not a good thing. It's definitely not.
So John Salza, right?
Yeah.
And then would you say that particular video or were there a combination of things that kind of pulled you out of this sort of a contest, radical
Well,
traditionalist?
to be honest, Pints with Aquinas was one of the main sources of that. To be
Good.
honest with you, because yeah, it was just more common sense sort of things. And he had people on who would defend the church's teaching on things, and I was coming around on the death penalty as well. I thought that was just completely false. But then I was starting to realize, oh, actually, you know what, this does make sense. And yeah, so I was coming around on it all eventually, and it was through Pints with Coins because the videos that he was releasing with these awesome priests who were faithful and who were, you know, loving in the way that they talked, and I don't know, it brought me back to the realization that no, I think I'm wrong here. I think there's some sort of, maybe I didn't know this externally, but maybe there's some sort of pride going on here. Maybe there's
Mm.
some sort of, you know, um, it's maybe a me issue rather than a church issue. Because I was eating this stuff up. And then, yeah, so eventually it's almost like a detransitioning in a way, or deprogramming throughout this time to try and get out of the radical mindset. So that took a while. But eventually, when I was ready to join the church, which was obviously last year, it was actually, I think I made when was it? I made a firm decision after I went to Amsterdam. I went to Amsterdam, actually.
Oh, what'd you do over there? Sorry. Sorry.
Yes. Yeah. So,
Sorry, was that
yes.
a rash judgment? I apologize to my viewers
Oh,
and to you.
no,
I was just
it
kind of
was
being I was being cheeky. I'm sorry.
it was not a rash judgment. It was a perfectly reasonable judgment given the context of the situation. So
Okay.
when I came back from Amsterdam, I sort of decided, right, I don't want to do any of this anymore. I also spent a lot of money there, which was another factor that I shouldn't have done. So it's kind of just all piling up, and I was like, right, okay, I need to reset here. So I just decided to keep praying, sort of to God, and then I specifically asked, Lord, can you put someone in my life who is going to mass so I can go with them? Because me going myself, I don't think I was ever going to do that. I don't think it was in my capability. Um, so anyway, I'd already text my cousin. It's funny how that timing works, because I'd already text my cousin, let's go out for a meal, let's go out to eat. I've not spoke to you in quite a wee while, so let's go and eat. And so we went to eat, and I told him, by the way, I think the Catholic Church is the true church. I think it's the actual, like, the truth, the true religion sort of thing. And then he was like, I so do I. So do I. Yes, so do I.
That's awesome.
I was like, what? Because, and I was very close to my cousin, so I thought this was the most miraculous thing in this moment, because it was like, but what do you mean? So his girlfriend, who I knew his girlfriend, but I didn't know really much about her. Like, I didn't speak to her much, but I knew that she was his girlfriend. But one thing I didn't know is that she was Catholic. And so yeah, so he'd been going to mass for like 8 months, and sort of before I had spoke to him. So he was like, "Oh yeah, I've been going every Sunday for the last 8 months," and I was like,
But he's not Catholic. He's
"No,
kind of in the same situation you are,
yeah,
sort of.
yeah,
Okay.
sort of, kind of." Except he didn't obviously have anywhere near the same story sort of thing as
No
me.
Amsterdam, huh, for him? Sorry.
No, he doesn't smoke a thing. He can't. He's got asthma, really bad asthma, so he doesn't do any of that. Much better than me, he is, in a lot of ways. But yeah, so this was the start of me going to mass, and I've been going to mass ever since, every Sunday for the last 9 months. So
Amen.
yeah, there you go. And then I contacted the priest from the FSSP not long after that, because this was in like April of last year. So
2024
yeah,
or 25
no,
rather.
25. 25.
Sorry.
Yes,
We just had a new year. I'm sorry. Yeah. Well,
yeah. So it was in 2025, and I wanted to be received into the church sort of like now, because I'd done so much research into it. I knew it was the truth, and so I decided just to see if he would accept me, because I was trying to reach out to local dioceses, but that didn't work. So I went to the FSSP and was like, can you take me through instruction? Can I get baptized earlier than Easter next year? Because I don't really want to wait if that's possible. And then yeah, so he took me for instruction, but he made me wait the whole 8 months, or the whole like 9 months to go through each week, instruction. So it was like RCIA, but one-on-one with the priest.
Is that right? One-on-one. That's a blessing.
Yeah,
That's gotta be a blessing.
that was amazing from him. Yeah, and this priest was awesome. Yeah, he's amazing. So yeah.
Wow. Wow, I bet you learned a lot from that priest.
Oh yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Good preparation for your baptism and confirmation. That's amazing.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And especially with my knowledge, it was good because I already had a good bit of knowledge. He would just fill in the gaps, and yeah, it was always great. So yeah, definitely.
So, all right. I don't mean to bring me and my channel into this, but the fact is that you found my channel
Yes.
and you would come on, I think, to some of the live streams and chit chat, nothing too
Yep.
crazy or whatever. And then,
Mhm.
we became more acquainted with each other, and you became a member, and now you're a patron. And we prayed a rosary for you and your baptism and confirmation. So there's a little bit of history there, but um, yeah, I feel very blessed and grateful that you and I got to cross paths, and we got to pray for each other.
Yep.
And I hope my channel some way or another has helped you a little bit, because I know there are
Yep.
other channels that you mentioned that probably helped you
Mhm.
more, like Trent Horn. Trent Horn converts everybody, by the way. So yeah,
Yeah,
so
no,
you
no. So yeah, you did help me actually, but it was more of like a sort of it's still a little bit of in the not so much the maybe the radical mindset, maybe the uncharitable mindset still. Even though I had reversed my positions on like Vatican II, for example, like I thought Vatican II was all this, it's only a pastoral council or whatever, and
Mhm.
that line sort of thing. So it didn't carry much weight or whatever. But but what you helped me do is sort of radicalize in a way, right? And sort of just, be more, well, ecumenical, because I hated that word, you know what I mean? But I understand what it means now. Um, so yeah, you helped with that. You helped with a couple of different things that aren't coming to my mind right now because I can't think on the spot very well. But you,
Oh no, you don't need to list all that stuff. I was just it's just
I don't need to list your CV. Yeah,
I'm sorry,
you're.
what?
I don't need to list your CV or
No.
or what do you call it, a resume?
Yeah, yeah. No, it's just I feel I get out of body experiences. Okay, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but when I just see and meet people that, people like Trent Horn and Joe Heschmeyer and Sips with Sarah and me, and
Yeah,
just we got a whole, like, it's just weird. It's just baffling to me that we help people in one way or another, in a way that's suitable to, like, say, someone like you or whomever. It's just I don't understand in a way. It's just crazy. Like, it's bizarre to me. So I'm just so thankful that, people like you open up and become vulnerable. Open your heart and your mind to what the Catholic Church actually teaches in her own words.
yep.
And let us witness to you by the way we live and all that stuff. And hopefully you don't get scandalized by some people. But I will say, I'm glad to hear that you have been helped to kind of de-radicalize in that sense that you meant it or defined it,
Yeah,
because I don't encapsulate or represent every single person in this kind of category, but it's dangerous. I'm telling you, it's dangerous. Like, anyone watching this video, I mean, people looking and discerning into Catholicism stop because of this radical traditionalistic ideology.
yep.
It's just the way it is. And
Mhm.
if you want to hold on to tradition, if you want to, have those roots, fine, fine. Just don't dissent from the ordinary magisterium, publicly. If you want to
Yeah,
do it
yeah,
inside
yeah,
your
yeah.
heart, fine, whatever. But just chill out and be obedient and docile to the Holy Father and the ordinary universal magisterium. I'm sorry, but it just
Amen.
it
Yeah,
means a lot to me that you said that because I pride myself on trying to be charitable, ecumenical, and getting everybody to be give their religious submission of intellect and will to the ordinary magisterium. That's like what my channel is, you know.
yep,
So
yep,
appreciate it, man. Praise
yeah.
God.
Yeah, it definitely helped. So
Good.
yeah, that's excellent.
So
Yeah,
you go through this training formation, spiritual
yep,
formation with this priest, and it was
mhm,
good and edifying.
oh yeah,
You learned a
yeah,
lot,
yep,
prepared.
mhm.
And then we, as a channel, because you're a member, we were anticipating and looking forward to you getting baptized and confirmed. So, what was it like? Or how?
Yeah, it was awesome. So it was done in the old rite, right? It was done in like the Latin rite, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Mhm.
So it was done in Latin. It was very, very long, longer than I expected it to be because you had to do like three times. So you said the Our Father three times, you got down on your knees three times, you got up, and then you did a few exorcism rituals, right? Um, and I think your
Hold on.
cameras
Hold,
are
hold
going.
on just a second. This does this every time. I got to get a new camera. Hold
I'm
on.
gonna grab a drink right now
Go.
because my
Yeah. Grab a drink. Grab a drink.
oh oh we're back to horrific camera.
Yeah. Yeah. The grainy camera. Now I
Hmm.
can match you a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need a new camera. I'm kind of surprised it lasted 50 minutes. To be honest with you, so
Has it got was it battery? What's the problem?
I think it overheats, and I have all the settings
Ah,
correct. They're correct. Like I've researched everything, and I think the battery runs out, or at least it overheats. Yeah, I don't know. I just think I need a new camera because I'm kind of sick of dealing with this. But anyways, whatever.
because it always happens when you live stream eventually.
Oh, and then yeah, some things are my camera's shutting off, and then yesterday people couldn't chat. It's like what what is going on?
You were only seeing two people in the stream, and I'm pretty sure there was more than that based on
Right.
what we were seeing. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. So I got to look into a couple of things. It's always technology. I can't stand it. All right. Are you ready?
Yeah, where were we?
We're just talking about the time leading up to your recent baptism and confirmation. If you just want to, you were explaining
The
the
process
old
of
rite
yeah,
and
yeah,
your
yeah, yeah.
confirmation baptism and stuff.
Yeah,
So how?
so the process obviously for going through the baptism was done in, like I say, the Latin rite, and it was very long process, but it was quite good. It was a very solemn sort of thing,
Nice.
um, and yeah, it was just done in like a little chapel house. It wasn't even done in a church. It was done in the FSSP house chapel, um, and it was awesome. My cousin was there, one of my friends from a youth group that I joined in Edinburgh was there, and yeah, my cousin was there, and my sponsor, who's my cousin's girlfriend, was my sponsor. So that was awesome.
Awesome. Because your cousin's girlfriend was pretty pious, devout Catholic, if I right.
Yeah. She's very very devout, very. I mean, she's Indian, so she comes from a different culture,
Mhm.
um, and the Catholic culture there is very different as well. They're very into like you got to be praying the rosary at certain times. You know, there's this family aspect, a big family aspect surrounding the faith. So yeah, um, that that was good. It was good to have that
Yeah,
there,
that's awesome.
especially for my cousin because
Yeah, God put those people in your life, man, for a reason.
yeah, definitely, 100%. It was an answered prayer in such a quick time as well. It's just amazing experience. Definitely.
Yeah. So January 6th, correct? That's when you were baptized and confirmed?
Yeah, the epiphany. Yep.
Wow, man. It's just interesting. A lot of us, you know, were baptized as infants. And so
Yeah.
we don't get to experience at least in like the developed faculties of our intellect.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
what exactly is going on, and not that we need to, because it's not based on emotions and memories.
No, 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 no.
Great grace transcends all that, but
Mhm.
just to prepare for it and then to go through it would be amazing, a good experience. So I think you're very blessed to have
Yeah,
been baptized as an adult.
yeah, that is
Yeah.
awesome. Definitely praise the Lord, 100%.
Yeah, so here, I'm gonna kind of put you on the spot a little bit.
Okay.
What would you say to anyone who's discerning Catholicism and then comes across Sedevacantist-ish or really radical traditionalist material where you know, they're undermining and denigrating the magisterium in one way or another, or at least the Holy Father, you know what I mean? And then
Yes.
they're starting to get confused, like someone in your position, because,
Yep.
right, you were a little, I would say, I think you said insecure or vulnerable or, not, you know what I mean? So they can manipulate you more easily. So what would you say?
Yeah. Well, I first acknowledge that, I probably understand where they're coming from, because of the fact that, there is a faith and we do hold certain things to be true. And, there has to be standards within the church. There has to be, certain things that happen within the church. What I would say on the on the the church side of things is read the documents. Just read the documents yourself, right? Get into the documents, get into the Vatican Council, especially the Vatican Council One, which was what convinced me, because it was actually myself that looked at that, and because it says something, now I don't want to misquote it, but it says something along the lines of there'll be a perpetual successor in Vatican One, something along those lines, which
Mhm,
pretty much demolishes the argument of sedevacantism, because it suggests there will always be someone in the See of Peter, um, in perpetuity. Obviously, that doesn't mean at every single possible moment, but based on what it was saying, it seemed to me like it just wasn't true. So that would probably be my first. I don't know if I'd call it advice because I don't know, but it depends on the person's situation. But I would say read the documents, um, and look at arguments from both sides. Just go to someone else who you don't agree with and look at their arguments. Look at the arguments from your side and look at the fruits and of the Holy Spirit, or even the virtues, the beatitudes. Who's promoting more of the beatitudes and more of the virtues in these sort of conversations, and also just analyzing the argument itself and determining what is a more charitable argument or what is a more loving argument in terms of like the like another thing is interpret everything and everyone in the best possible light you possibly can, no matter what they're saying. Try and interpret, you know, the thing that they're saying in the best possible way. Try and even, you know, wrap your mind around how that could make sense to them, or try and put yourself in their shoes in a way and try and understand how they understand. Either if you can't possibly reconcile what they're saying, then try and at least understand why they think it. And that'd probably be what I would say. Um, just analyze the arguments as best you can next to each other. Determine what one would have the basis of. I think what I didn't understand, and what I'm still trying to understand, is how much God loves us, right? Because I think that's the antidote for a lot of this, is like understanding God's pure love for you, and realizing that in your life, because it just takes a lot of the pains away. From also, I dealt with scrupulosity a lot as well, during this time, especially during. I think that's what I was dealing with through all of this period since I realized the truth, was really just scrupulosity. Every single thing I was doing was wrong, right? Every single action I took was incorrect and completely wrong, no matter what I did. Um, so, and the part that's missing from that is God's grace, God's love for us, right? Um, so, yeah, I would say try and look at the arguments from an intellectual point of view. But for me, it was probably just realizing how much God loves each individual person, and trying to read spiritual materials on the love that God has for us. Um, and yeah, that's not really very good advice, but that's what I would say.
No, dude, don't downplay that because I don't think I have much to say to that. I think what's key in what you said is use critical thinking skills. Look at both sides always. Don't come in with your preconceived biases and just whoever fits you or preconceived notion, obviously. Don't do that. God gave you a conscience for a reason, and that's not to get manipulated, coerced, or deceived. That's why you have a
Yeah.
conscience. Make sure it's formed and then you'll be good to go. But yeah, dude, that was awesome. That was really good testimony. Very good conversion story. We are all happy that you got baptized, confirmed in the Catholic Church. I think we'll all be praying for you for, you know, to be a good disciple of Christ and to remain faithful and to persevere and all that stuff. So amazing, amazing, amazing. Thanks be to God. Thank
Yes.
you so much for sharing your testimony with us. Was there anything else you'd like to add?
Um, Another thing in terms of my journey right now, right? Since a couple of weeks before I've been baptized, I haven't yet um, engaged in any of the previous behaviours. Let's just say that I've done prior,
Amen.
um, in a mortal or mortally sinful way. So, and what I would say to that is my best advice is to do a consistent prayer life, because that's what I've got right now. Every day I've been doing the same thing, morning, noon, and night. Right, set times. Doesn't matter how long it is. Just set a time and do a consistent prayer schedule. Get what for me it's the Christian Prayer Book. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's the Divine Office, morning, evening, and night prayers.
Yep.
So I've been doing all of those every day and then a rosary on top of that and just consistently sticking to that. And it's amazing how like less inclination to temptation I have because of that. At least for the big things, I mean, I've still got massive problems, but in terms of the start of the spiritual life, I think that's one of the most important things is just consistently pray and do it and get it done and make room for it. If whatever room you can do it, that would be my advice.
Wow. Solid advice, man. I don't think I got nothing to add to that. I just agree. I agree. I mean, I think when it comes to prayer, you got to get in a habit or structured. You can't waffle or ebb and flow and, oh, I'll pray today, but not tomorrow. Yeah. And like you said, if you do have a consistent uh devotion to prayer, I mean, it's got to be genuine and pious, but if you
Yep.
do, you're not going to commit mortal sins all day. Like it's incompatible. It won't happen. You know
Yep.
what I mean? So,
Yep. Absolutely. Especially with the rosary, right? I think that is really
yeah.
powerful. Even though I wouldn't say you have to pray it, of course.
Right,
I
right.
wouldn't want to put that burden on people, but you should probably pray it.
Yeah. John, thank you so much. Welcome
No
home, my
worries.
friend, my
Thank
brother.
you.
Thank you for being a member and patron on the channel too.
Yeah, no worries.
Appreciate it.
Yep, I appreciate the work you do. So, yeah, definitely.
All right, man.